everybody. Hello, and how is everybody doing? So, drop it in the feed and tell me, how are you doing today? Well, those of you who don't know me, I want to first and foremost welcome you to another edition, or yes, another edition or another episode of Envision Me Talk Show. What we're bringing on amazing women to come out here and they're going to empower you, inspire you, and you're going to get to hear their story. Now, I'm always being asked, well, why do you want to hear their story? There's so many of us that are letting but hold them back, or what ifs, or I can't. But knowing that there's women out here who are just breaking down those obstacles and they're rocking it. So you can see that they're doing it, and maybe you can connect to one of them that'll allow you or empower you, inspire you to go after your what's next. But before I bring on tonight's guest, let me introduce myself. My name is Pam, and I am your CEO and founder of Envision Me. I'm the CEO and CEO of Vision Made. We have come in and we have created this podcast where we're inspiring, empowering women around the world. We want them to go after their what's next. How we do it, we help you go and kick down those barriers of the buts, what ifs, and I can't. Tonight's show is sponsored by two people, but the first one is sponsored by At the Table. At the Table is a nonprofit organization here in Columbus, Ohio, where they are out here empowering young girls at Mifflin High School, for example, as well as they're out here have a support group. So they have a scholarship. Who doesn't need any money for college, right? I know you know someone who's needing money for education. I know I did, and I know someone does as well. If you're looking for that opportunity to connect with At the Table, to find out more information about At the Table Scholarship, which is named after the Denise Pittman, drop it in the feed, or better yet, I'll drop the link below. So without further ado, let me bring on Laura. Hello, Laura. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Pam. How are you?
I am so excited to have you on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no worries, no worries. This is going to be fun. So, Laura, before we get deep diving into the show, tell our guests a little bit about yourself.
My name is Laura Moseley, and I am a survivor of over 23 years of domestic and sexual abuse. That's not all who I am. I also now am have gotten away from my abuser. Very happy with someone nice, and I work for a federal social services organization. I have 3 children and 1 grandchild. So life is good.
Yeah, life was awesome. So let me say, let's go back a little bit. As you know, we face a lot of obstacles. And I mean women. Right now, let's talk about the women that are sitting somewhere and they're facing the obstacles.
Mhm.
Sadly enough, your obstacle that you faced before you got here was the abuser that you had faced.
Mhm.
So how did you get out of that? And what would be something if someone is sitting there saying, wow, she did it. What would you tell them right now? What was one thing you would tell them?
I would tell them to plan very carefully because I don't think people can be too safe about it. I mean, I think safety is number one, of course, and people that have advice for you in getting out, always take that with a grain of salt because if somebody's giving you advice and they've never been through abuse, they're not going to know, just how dangerous what you're facing really is.
That's so true. That's so true. Here at the table is a nonprofit that I sit on. We did do a domestic violence panel talk in November. And I so agree with you. You know, no one knows what it's like to go through it unless you've been through it. I mean, I understand everyone's
Exactly.
intentions are there, but you don't know um, what it's like and what the obstacles you have faced with it. So after you had left your abuser, What's some of the things that you had to go through? I know it's a lot of trauma.
Well, yeah, and it things happened to me kind of all at once. I was also losing my job, not anything to do with my fault. They were moving that facility. So I found that out. And I also, at the same time, found out that my mother had cancer. So I had a lot going on at that point, but I had to pretty much start over. And, you know, you can try and sugarcoat it all you want, but if you have resigned yourself, I've got to start over. I'm going to start from the ground floor and build back up. You have to do that, especially as a survivor.
So and so when you started from the ground floor, how did you get to that? Because to me, that would be so frightening. I understand that you had to get through. You're a strong woman, and I commend you for that. But how
Thank
did you
you.
even know where to start? What is the ground floor?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, I had to find a job, and that was very daunting in itself. I mean, they didn't like up and close it that day that, after the final incident happened, but we had another, I guess, month and a half of working. So I was having to continue to work and function. I had to feed kids, um, and do basic things like that, and then had to at the same time be looking for a job. I no longer had his income, so I had to find resources in the community to kind of assist me, and getting things stabilized.
Mm.
And it's just you have to become very humble at that point, because you know you're in a situation where you do need help. I remember telling my domestic violence advocate, I can't stand in line at this food bank. I just, the other people need it. She goes, no, you need it now, and it's not just for you, it's for those kids. So you're okay, you're worthy, you can do this. And she was right, and I'm so thankful every day that she helped me see that.
So you have a cheerleader next to you in
I
some
did.
sense.
I did, and she's awesome.
Yeah. So now that you're over on this side, and now are you mentoring or coaching women that has gone through this?
I do. I started, one of the things that my abuser never let me do was write, and I love to write. So I started therapy, and unfortunately got assigned a male therapist. He was very nice, but I got to a point in my therapy where I just could not talk about the abuse, the actual abuse that another man had done. And so he said, well, we'll try and find you another therapist. But he said, meanwhile, he goes, if you can speak about it to groups, because the prosecutor's office had me do that. He
Mhm.
said, keep doing it. The more you talk about it, the less it owns you, and I said, I want to help. Well, write about what you know. You know that to be true. So I started a blog, and it's helped me just as much as I think it's helped other people. But once it started kind of getting out there, people started reaching out saying, hey, I'm in an abusive situation and I need some assistance. Can you help me? So, yes, I mean, I became a certified domestic violence advocate just so I could properly help people. Um, because it's very hard to know what to do in the moment. You said,
Mhm.
what did you do to start over? Well, but first I panicked. I had a major panic attack, and then I had to calm myself down and go, okay, what do we got to do? And sometimes you need a voice of reason. I had an excellent domestic violence advocate, and she was the voice of reason because I wasn't reasonable at that time, and that's perfectly normal.
Yeah.
So that's what I started writing. And it, I don't know that I can sit and talk about my whole entire story or write a whole entire book, but if I write about pieces of it, it's like, okay, there's another thing I've let go. Okay, I've let this go. And it's very healing to me, not only to other people. I've had more people comment, wow, your story really spoke to me. I've
Mhm.
had something similar happen, or, oh, how did you get out of that situation? And I just love being able to connect with people because I think these connections make a difference.
They do. They so do. And those of you who don't know, Laura is actually, she is a writer for Vision Made magazine. And so you have to get one of the magazine's issues. She's in this issue that is out right now. And her story is amazing. Actually, Brooke and I talk about it all the time. And she's like, Pam, I'm like, I know we have some amazing writers. And so it was really good. And I'm glad you are, but I'm glad that you're even using your story to empower women, because there's so many women that are hiding because they think they're the only ones. And I understand the fear. That part I do understand about the fear. Now, how to get out of it, that part I don't know because I haven't been there. But yet I do have someone is sitting here that can help you. So, Laura, if someone's sitting there and like, oh my goodness, I need to talk to her and see if how she can help me, how can they get connected to you or contact you?
Well, my blog is called The DV Walking Wounded, and DV stands for domestic violence. It's dvwalkingwounded.me. That's my blog. They can contact me there. And I have an inspirational group of the same name on Facebook. So those are probably the best ways to get a hold of me.
Okay. I'm writing it down so I can put it in, make sure that everyone can see it if anyone needs to see it, and how they can get a hold of you. And then, so now that you had to reinvent yourself, right? You had to go out here and get another job and do
Yeah.
all that. The getting another job is just a whole nother level. I mean that you had.
Yeah. And I have a master's degree. So when you're trying to just get just a job to feed your family, people look at that master's degree and go, whoop, she's overqualified.
Yeah.
So when I was talking to my mother, she's like, you know what? You're not going to like this, but you need to take that off your resume for a little while. I thought
Wow.
she was right. I got more job offers when I didn't have it on my resume than when I did, which is
Really?
which is crazy, but that's how it worked. And I had to feed my family. So I had a couple different versions of my resume, unfortunately. But I did get a job, and that one didn't work out, and I got another job, and that one lasted for a little while, and then I ended up, working, for the federal government, which is great. It's such a great job, and I get to help people every day in that job as well, which I love. And sometimes you aren't going to get your dream job, so that's just a stepping stone, and there's no shame in that at all.
Absolutely. So where can the people find your blog at?
I have it's on WordPress. It's just dvwalkingwounded.me. And I put the DV in front of it because Walking Wounded normally refers to veterans, and I don't want to take anything away from our awesome veterans. So I kind of differentiated it, and I could have made it a .com, but they had other dot whatevers that were cheaper. And honestly, I liked the .me because it happened to me. This is a blog that's mine.
Yeah,
And I want people to go, oh, me too. That happened to me too. Or, oh, wow. Okay. So healing is possible. Getting out of abuse is possible for me. So it just kind of resonated with me. So that's just, you type it into the URL box there on your browser of choice, and it'll
uh-huh.
pop up my blog.
Okay, perfect. Because someone is asking me, well, how do I get to her blog? And I'm like, I don't know. That's a good question.
It is a WordPress blog, so it's super easy to navigate. I love that, and I love it. That's easy for me to, make it look nice, and WordPress is great. So
Yeah. Well, you know what? I first want to say you are an amazing woman. For all that you have gone through and where you are, you rock, girl. So I want to first and foremost give you your flowers here. You so deserve it, especially like I said, all that you've been through and all that you've gone through, and now where you are is just kudos to you. Kudos to you.
thank you.
So if we have anybody that is sitting at the desk and they're just wanting now to go to the next level, or looking to as you had said, start all over, what would be one piece of advice that you would give them that they can even start, not starting all over from the understanding that the abuse, but starting all over just at a corporate job or just sitting somewhere listening like, man, I want to start all over, but I don't even know where to even start doing that piece of it. What would you say to that?
Sometimes you have to just give yourself a really good pep talk. I know I have to because I have people depending on me, but even if I didn't, even if it were just me, I'd have to go, you got to do this and you need, I don't know. I'm one of those people that make lists. I plan things. I mean, I've worked in jobs I just really didn't like, and I'm thinking, you have to have a job to get a job. It's more ideal that way. So I'll work this one until I find, something that's gonna, be better. Or, if I didn't like something, I'd have a chat with my manager and say, look, these are my skills. I can do this, this, and this. This is not working for me. Can we do something different? I mean, just even speaking up where you work, if you're not happy at work, let them know. I mean, the worst they can say is so.
Right. You're
So,
right. You're absolutely right. So true. So true. Well, you know what? Time is already, believe it or not, we're halfway through the show already. It's gone by so fast.
wow.
I know, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and give you a moment to catch your breath, and then
Okay.
I'll bring you back in, and then we're gonna talk about, what is your win for this week, as well as what is your what's next. But I'll bring you back in a few minutes so we can sit down and just talk about it and sit back and enjoy our talk. Okay, everybody. Laura has dropped some major nuggets. If you didn't catch it, look, I got my notes. I even look, yeah, you know how I am, you guys. But I have my notes here, and I hope that something has resonated with you. If you missed the show or you're just now tuning in, note that you can go back and listen to it. If you do that, just let me know. Just put in hashtag replay. I would love to know how many people are listening to the replay. But before we bring Laura back, as you know, it's Win Wednesday. Drop it in the feed and tell me what is your win for this week. And you'll get to hear ours later in the show. But before I bring Laura back, I wanted to let you know the second half of this show is sponsored by Vision Made Vision Board Kit. Actually, we have created one goal in a bag. We did that so you can work on one goal at a time instead of working on so many goals. How many times you sit down and you have this goal, this goal, but you don't achieve them or you don't even try to tackle them because you're overwhelmed. Well, we create the one goal in the bag to let you know it's okay to create that one goal. Now, in that one goal in the bag, it's everything you need. So we've removed all the excuses. I mean, how many of you will say, well, I need the board? It's in the bag. Or better yet, I can't find some scissors, which is normally, you guys, that is normally the thing that we always saying, where's the scissors? Where's the glue at? Well, you don't have to answer any of those questions. You don't even have to stress yourself because one goal in the bag has it all for you, even the magazines. So if you're interested in getting one goal in the bag, Vision Made Vision Board Kit, I will drop the link below so you can grab that. But before I bring Laura back, okay, you guys, I know I see people out here. So tell me, what's your win for this week? I love to hear it because I love to celebrate you and everything like that. Well, let me bring Laura back so we can have some more girl chat. Okay, Laura. So as we come to this part of the show, it is all about what do you do for you? So what are some of the self-care things that you do for yourself?
Well, I mean, we've already discussed writing is actually one of my self care things.
Okay.
Reading, I love to read. I don't get as much of that as I'd like. I mean, sometimes I just have to take a walk or take a hot bath.
Oh, yes.
Just what I can fit into my schedule. But
I'm with you. Whatever you can get in there, get in there.
exactly.
But as long as you're taking care of yourself. I mean, we have so much going on in our day-to-day life that you need that self-care any way possible you can get it. So that's awesome that you do that. And speaking of reading, that goes actually into the next segment of part of the show. I'm always talking about book on the shelf. Book on the Shelf is where we talk about what book do you recommend or have read that you would suggest to our readers. Now, let me put this disclaimer out because my phone just dinged talking about, okay, you're getting kickbacks. No, everybody, I don't get any kickbacks for these book referrals. I mean, my phone literally just dinged, literally, in my watch. Let me clear this. No, I do not get any kickbacks, but I do believe in order to get yourself to your what's next, you need to expand your mind. And what perfect way is to read a book? If you're like me, okay, I don't read a book. I listen to a book. It's still the same. It still empowers you and inspires you to go after your what's next. So, Laura, do you have a suggestion for anybody?
Actually, I just bought this and I just started it. It's for a online book club for people who've survived domestic abuse. It's called Goodbye, Sweet Girl.
Oh, okay.
It's by Kelly Sunderberg.
Okay, got it. Okay, got it. I'm gonna put it on there. I am actually, if,
Excuse
bless
me.
if everybody don't know me, I'm always about reading more than one book or listening to more than one one book um at a time. So I'm very good for that. So right now I am reading You Should Sit Down for This by Tamir. That's really good. It's really good. You know, it talks about all the obstacles that she faced and things like that. And then You Owe You by Eric Thomas. Now I'm working on it the second time around. That was a very that's a motivation. If you don't know, or if anybody doesn't know Eric Thomas, he is one of my, I have to say, though he doesn't know, but he's one of my mentors, but he's very motivational. And he just talks, he just gets down to it. So those are the two books that I'm reading right now. I'm also working on You're a Badass, Making Money. And I want to learn how to those you know me or don't know me, I'm all about let's learn what let's figure out some more ways of making money besides the other streams of income that I'm doing now. So those are the three books I'm listening to right now.
Mhm.
So with that being said, we talked about what's the win for this week. So what's your win this week, Laura?
Well, I have a teenager. He's my youngest. He's 16. He is on the autism spectrum. This morning we had a showdown. He did not want to go to school.
Uh-oh.
He tries to, and if anybody out there has a neurodivergent child, God bless you. Especially a teenager, they're very difficult to deal with at times. He decided he wasn't going to school, and I decided he was. So I did not get a call from school today, but I did get him to school. But I decided I think I need to come up with a support group in my area for parents of children on the spectrum because I really feel, and I got a lot of help and ideas and motivation from other survivors of domestic abuse when I was going through what I was going through. So I feel like I'm not the only parent
Mm-hmm.
having this problem with a teenage boy on the spectrum. If somebody's got better ideas on that, and I just want to have a group where we can all get together and share our resources and our ideas and things like that because I really feel like we need it because my ex-husband is not he will not ever admit that our child has is on the spectrum and that's not a bad thing as
Right.
far as him being on the spectrum, but the fact that his dad is overlooking that or not acknowledging it's not okay either.
True.
So, I mean, he'll continuously tell you, "There's nothing wrong with my kid." Well, there's nothing
Mm,
wrong with ours. He's just different. He's always been different, and different's okay.
yeah.
And you just have to find creative ways of dealing. And there's some creative ways that I've had to deal with him along the years that might help parents that have younger children that are struggling right now. Because I feel like I struggle every day I get out of bed with this child, but the fact that I did not wear down and I got him to school was my win for the day.
That is good. Because I do know some, I actually have a couple, actually, I work with a couple women at my job, and they too have the teenage son that is and it's the same way. So I'm always like, well, do you do this? And I'm always giving her suggestions. So I really like that you're creating a support group that will help you support you through this. So is this support group online? Is it in your community? Have you just started? Have you started, or is it just information?
I just started gathering information. My library's on board for helping me with in the community. I have to say, there's a lot of good links online, which is good. But I really feel like that people need to connect with people face to
Yes.
face. They can. I mean, if we have to do it online, sometimes on Zoom, fine. But I feel like when you're in a room with somebody, they feel more real,
Yes.
so and of course I'm wanting to coordinate this with my library because they have the children's section, and maybe the children's librarian can do sensory, you know
Mm-hmm.
positive crafts or something, so parents don't have to go, can't come, got to take care of the kiddo.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Mine's going to be looking for books while we talk, so and I know with this, the spectrum is so huge that you know that there are a lot of nonverbal children,
Yes.
and their parents, if their parents want to bring them, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, because I've had discussions with my now teen, and we've talked about, well, Einstein was on the spectrum, and
Yes.
all the famous people that were on the spectrum. I said, so that's not a bad thing.
Right.
And,
Right.
and it's funny because I said, Sir Anthony Hopkins is on the spectrum. And he goes, Hannibal Lecter? That's cool. I said, that's the only one I named that.
That he
Okay.
related.
Oh, crud. So, it's whatever resonates with
That's
him.
right.
But,
That's right.
it's I just like when I was going through, trying to get through domestic abuse, I had
Yes.
so much support, and that was awesome. And I feel like this is an area I'm struggling in right now. I really need support, and I really need real people support, not
Yes.
just experts that never ever had a child on the spectrum, but they're somehow an expert in that field. So, that.
I totally get you. I totally get you there. Well, kudos to that. And that's an awesome win for you this week. And I celebrate you for that because, again, that a win is a win. And so many people don't even, celebrate themselves and celebrate the win. So that's why we do that here. So I'm like that. That congratulations to that. As we're getting ready to wrap it up a little bit, I have two more questions for you. And so the first one is, what is your what's next? I mean, you're doing amazing work. What's your what's next?
I am trying to branch out a little bit to see how I can help people. Of course, I'm trying to promote my blog as much as I can, as inexpensively as I can, since I'm the only one at my house making any money. Um, I speak out as much as I can on podcasts and things. I would eventually like to write my book. I just don't know right now. But I am just experimenting with different things, different resources, for domestic violence survivors, anxiety. I do have a book that I hope to get published this year.
Yes.
So, on how to not be a victim. And I know people are probably thinking, well, nobody chooses to be a victim. No, that's very true, but you can stay stuck in that mindset. And I've even found myself kind of feeling sorry for myself, and you can't stay there.
Right.
So I'm, at least I hope to get that done this year, and trying to get, honestly, some ambient music slash videos. I'm trying to create some
Ooh.
of that stuff for my YouTube channel, because that helps not only people that have anxiety, such as trauma survivors, try to sleep. It also helps children who are on the spectrum because
Yes.
it's soothing. So it's kind of a double thing there. But I'm like you, I'm trying to find, even if I found an avenue that could help me fund my blog, because I mean, I absorb all these costs myself.
Right.
But I do it to help people. I'm not trying to do it to be, super rich, although that would be lovely. But I do it because God saved me for a higher purpose, I feel like, and I'm trying
Absolutely.
to do that, and I'm also, trying to get a law passed in the state of Indiana, that protect victims and keep their abusers behind bars for another 72 hours while more evidence is gathered. And, um, I'm trying to push for that at this point because when I had somebody ask me, well, what can you do? Well, that's what I can do.
Absolutely.
So
So with that law, and I'm glad we're talking on it before we close, before we end the show. Is this? I seen the link. Is this anyone can do can can be part of this? I know you had sent that link to it. Is that anybody can do it? Do they have to be in your state
they
specific?
they don't have to be in the state of Indiana because
Okay.
what and the reason I say that, I know I've had several people message me and say, but this is towards a state rep in Indiana. That's true, but they have to see that this is a national thing. This is a
Okay.
big thing. And I think that's why several people don't sign it because they're like, oh, I'm not from Indiana. It doesn't matter because if other states go, oh, well, Indiana did this, maybe we can adopt this in our state, then that's what I want ultimately because domestic violence is not just a national thing, it's a worldly thing.
Absolutely.
And if we can crush it by reforming the laws in our state, it's a lot. I'm not saying it's easy, but it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And I started with that change.org petition and it's gone from there. But it keeps getting pushed to the wayside. And so this is the third go round with this law.
Okay.
Um, so I'm hoping that it won't get pushed by so so easily because we've just had so many people in the state,
Hmm.
women die at the hands of former, intimate partners or current intimate partners, and that doesn't need to happen.
So true. Well, I definitely will put that link up for those that are interested in supporting. I think that is awesome to do. So I definitely will post that as soon as we get off the show. So everyone, those of you who like, well, Pam, where's the link at? I'll post it up before we get off of here. Unless you have it real handy with you right now, Laura, you can post it in the feed, and then I can post it. And as you're doing that, before we close out the show, what would you like to leave our listeners and followers with?
If anybody, talks to you about, hey, I have this weird thing that's happening, is this abuse? Listen without judgment and be there for them. If you are in abuse, tell someone you trust, or at the very least call the national domestic violence hotline or even your state hotlines, which seem to have less waiting time.
Mm.
you know Start that process. It doesn't have to be full bore, but if you start that process and keep moving forward, you'll get to where you need to be.
Well, Laura, this was so empowering, inspiring, and thank you so much for being here with me. I enjoyed you.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh no. Oh no. So as Laura will be putting up the link, if she doesn't, I definitely will, so you guys can get that. But I wanted everyone to know, first and foremost, thank you for joining us. I feel that it's a blessing that you all stop by and you listen as we've been doing for the last month now, having some powerful. We have some powerful, impactful women that's coming through here, knowing that they have gone through what they've gone through. I mean, listen, did you hear Laura's story? That she is a domestic violence survivor, but then on the other end, now she's empowering, inspiring people that has gone through it or going through it, and you can get connected to her. Is everybody? She has created a link for where you can actually, she has a group online, Facebook group online, where you can get in touch with her. I definitely will put that in there for you so you guys will know how you can get a hold of her. But know this, everybody, you only have one life to live. Live your life. I know it's hard. Trust me, I know it's hard. We just heard from Laura, but live your life for you and know that you only have one life to live. And so, what you go out here, you go get you some help, get you a support. She had an amazing support cheerleader for her. Find your amazing cheerleader to help you get you to your what's next. And I know it's hard, but do it for you. and not for you, for everybody else around you. Until next week, everyone, when I bring in another amazing guest, you go out here and you rock it and you know you're amazing. And thank you, everybody. Until next week. Bye, everybody.